Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the BCP Licensing Subcommittee. The first item on this morning's agenda is the election of chairman. Do I have a proposal for the chair this morning, members?
I propose yourself.
Thank you very much.
I second that.
Thank you very much. Firstly, let's deal with the housekeeping. Can I ask the clerk just to run through the housekeeping this morning, please?
Thank you, Chair. Please note that this meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee, up until the exclusion of press and public, is being recorded by the Council for live broadcast and will be published on the Council's website for a minimum of 6 months. In order to ensure the meeting is managed effectively, please could everyone present follow these ground rules for speaking. Only speak when invited to by the Chair. If joining remotely, please ensure that you unmute yourself and always turn on the video function before speaking. Mute your microphone when you are not talking. After each party has made their representation, the Chair will ask each person in turn if they have any questions or comments. However, if at any point you would like to speak again, please use the raise your hand function at the top right of the screen, or raise your hand if you are in the meeting room. For those in the room, please note that if the fire alarm sounds, please exit the building by way of the nearest available signed fire exit route and make your way to the assembly point along Bradley Road under the flyover. Finally, if joining remotely, please ensure background noise is kept to a minimum, and can everyone ensure their mobile phones and other devices, including laptops, are turned off or switched to silent for the duration of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 2 on this morning's agenda, apologies for absence. Are you able to report any apologies?
We haven't received any apologies, Chair.
Thank you. Item 3, declarations of interest. Councillor Dower, do you have any declarations with regard to this morning's meeting?
I don't, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Chapman-Law, do you have any declarations in regard to this morning's meeting?
No, I don't, Chair.
Thank you. Item 4, protocol for public speaking. Protocol for public speaking is included with the agenda sheet for the meeting for noting by everyone. And item 5, just to make all participants aware this morning that once the presentation has been made, the committee will be asked to move to exclude the press and public from the meeting, and I'll deal with that at the appropriate point. Moving on then to item 6 of this morning's agenda, Parkston Convenience, 408 Ashley Road, Hall.
Chair, can I just a slight change to the order of the hearing. It's proposed that Councillor Pedivine actually sum up after her representation rather than at the end, and I just wonder if everyone's happy with that. No objections?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. An application has been received for a new premises licence for the premises known as Parkston Convenience, 408 Ashley Road, Poole, to permit the supply of alcohol off sales from Sunday to Thursday 0700 hours to 2300 hours and Friday and Saturday 0700 to 0200 hours. The licensing authority has received 2 representations, so this matter is brought before the licensing subcommittee for determination. I will now ask each participant to introduce themselves and state their role, starting with myself. I'm Councillor David Flagg, the elected chairman of this morning's subcommittee meeting.
I'm Councillor Michelle Dower. I'm a member of the subcommittee.
I'm Councillor Chapman-Law. I am a member of the subcommittee.
Thank you, members. Also in attendance this morning, we have Councillor George Farquhar and Councillor Anne Filer, who are reserve members. They're not required to participate if the above members are present, but may observe for training purposes only. They will take no part in this morning's hearing deliberations. We also have Councillor Emily Harman, Councillors Judy Richardson and Councillor Sandra Moore also attending on the teams for training purposes. Mrs. Tanya Jardim, who's the licensing officer.
Yeah, Tanya Jardine, licensing officer, and who dealt with the application.
Thank you. Mrs. Joanne McNamara.
Chair, I'm Joanne McNamara, legal advisor to the subcommittee today.
Thank you. Miss Sinead O'Callaghan.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Sinead O'Callaghan. I'm clerk to the subcommittee today, and on my left I've got Jill Oakley, who's here for Democratic Services Support.
Thank you. For the applicant, I have Mr. Tony Clark, who's the agent for the applicant. If you could
Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Mohammed Akrim Qadir, the applicant.
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Thank you. Objecting this morning, we have Councillor Marion Lepoidovin, who's representing Councillor Millie Earl. Councillor Lepoidovin.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning. Thank you. And Mr. John Beam, Dorset Police.
Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Bean. Before I run through the procedure, please may I check that all persons who have given notice of their intention to speak have been identified, and any person who wishes to withdraw a representation or wishes not to speak has been identified. And if there are no comments, I will take this as correct. I will now explain the proposed procedure and order of speaking for the hearing as follows. The public session during which parties have been asked not to refer to any exempt information. The licensing officer will present the report. Questions of the licensing officer by all parties, with members of the subcommittee to go first. The applicant will make their application. Questions of the applicant by all parties, members of the subcommittee to go first. Councillor Marion Lepoidovin will make Councillor Earl's representation, and then question of Councillor Lepoidovin by all parties, members of the subcommittee to go first. And at that point, I will ask Councillor Lepoidovin to sum up before we go into exempt session. Once in exempt session, Dorset Police will make their representation. Questions of Dorset Police by all parties present, members of the subcommittee to go first. All parties will be given an opportunity to sum up, with the party who spoke last to go first. The hearing will then conclude. The subcommittee will deliberate in private with the legal advisor and the clerk present. Notification of the subcommittee's decision will be given within the period of 5 working days, beginning with the day or the last day on which the hearing was held. The notification of decision will include information about the right of appeal as appropriate. I will now ask all parties to confirm agreement on the proposed procedure or make representations. Mr. Clark?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kadir?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lepoidovin?
Agreed. I don't think you heard.
Thank you. Thank you. And Mr. Bean?
Yeah, I've got no issues with that, sir.
Thank you. Tanya Jardim
Yes, thank you, Chair.
and Joanne McNamara.
Thank you, Chair. Agreed.
Please may I remind all parties speaking not to repeat the information which they have already given in writing, but to expand on their written representations. All questions are to be asked through the chair, and there will be no cross-examination parties. I will now ask the licence officer to present the report. Mrs. McNamara, please.
Jardine.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you very much, Chair. So the application before you today is to consider whether to grant a new premises licence at 408 Ashley Road, Parkstone. Mr. Tony Clark of Security Licenses and JMC Licensing submitted an application on behalf of the applicant, Mr. Mohammed Qadir. The applicant proposes to operate as a general convenience store and general convenience grocery store and has applied for a new premises licence to permit off-sale supply of alcohol Sunday to Thursday, 0700 to 2300 hours, and Friday and Saturday, 0700 to 0200 hours. The licensing office received one representation against the application from Councillor Millie Earl on the grounds that granting the application as applied for would undermine the prevention of crime and disorder, prevention of public nuisance and the prevention of public safety licensing objectives, and suggested that the closing hours be limited to 22:30 Sunday to Thursday and 2300 on Fridays and Saturdays. We received, in addition, Dorset Police have made representation against the application on the grounds that the proposed DPS, a designated premises supervisor, would undermine the prevention of crime and disorder licensing objective. We received no other representations from any other persons or other responsible authorities. Members are asked to consider whether to grant the application, and should the licence be granted and the applicants fail to operate in accordance with their licence and any conditions attached to it, they will be aware that any responsible authorities or other persons may request a review of the licence at any time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Darling. We will now move on to questions for the licensing officer. Councillor Chapman Law, please.
I had a quick look on Google Maps whilst reading this. Can you just confirm the opening times of either similar premises or premises with licensing in the general vicinity?
Yes, no problem. So there are 6 premises with off-licence facilities or similar to this application. 4 of them close at 11 o'clock, 2300 hours. 1 of them closes at 2200 hours. And 1 is a 24-hour license. It doesn't mean they're open then, but they are licensed to that. And 2 of them have earlier closing hours on a Sunday. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Dower, please.
None from me, thank you.
Thank you. No questions from myself either. Can I call on the applicant then to make their application, please?
Good morning,
Can I
everyone. My name.
Beg
Morning,
your
sir.
pardon. Can I just quick? Do you have any questions for the licensing officer at all?
No, none at all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Mr.
My name
Clark.
is Tony Clark. Yes. May I continue? Hello.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, thank you. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Tony Clark, and I'm a licensing consultant representing the applicant, Mohammed Kadir, who is present in the room today. If I may explain a brief history of my client, it may help to understand the circumstances. Mr. Kadir has run a phone repair and accessory shop, which also sold other household sundry items, including e-cigarettes, from the same premises for the last 18 months. He's recently worked in the area for a number of years as a barber, and then he's moved on to taking on his own shop. More recently, the application you see before you has been presented or has been put forward because my client has wished to diversify into more of a general retail shop because a lot of his customers were asking for the sale of alcohol because they couldn't find another supermarket, or they wanted someone like him, a local shop that they felt was a friendly a shop that they could get alcohol from. So he set about getting his personal license, and then he's come to us to try to put forward an application. My client's shop's been open for the last 2 years until 11 or 12 o'clock in the night throughout the week, and has at no point witnessed any crime or disorder inside or in the vicinity of his shop. As part of our evidence, we've also submitted a supporting petition, which I hope you will all have seen today, which hopefully shows that he has a steady flow of regular customers from this area, who wish to support him and see him do well in this business, and they've supported the application. In relation to Councillor Earp's representation, I would like to point out the following. He stated that all of the local pubs close at 11 o'clock. On a quick check on Google Maps, I noticed myself that the Churchill, which is across the road, 382 Ashley Road, opens until 11 o'clock in the week and 12 o'clock on a Friday and a Saturday. The Victoria Cross pub at 377 Ashley Road has the same hours, 11 o'clock through the week and 12 o'clock at the weekends. And obviously, Tanya Jardim has just pointed out the other 6 off licenses, which close at 11, 10, and then 1 at 24 hours. So, whilst we respect the comments Councillor Earl has put forward in his representation, we'd like to note that there are no other representations in relation to the restriction of my client's timings, including the 2 neighbouring councillors Councillor Earl mentioned, and then that also includes environmental health and the police, which obviously we would look at as an important source of information for any crime or disorder that happens in these localities. The lack of representation from the authorities and other ward councillors, and indeed any other neighbours or interested parties, can only lead us to one conclusion. There is no desire from any other party to reduce the hours, and whilst we respect the councillor may have experienced issues when he lived in the area, there is no supporting evidence to support that statement apart from what he's written. In addition, the supporting petition from my client's local customers gives us an insight into what the customers of that area are looking to see my client selling. In addition, we feel that the conditions my client has offered will be suitable in upholding the licensing objectives, and will mitigate any concerns or fears that the councillor may have about what might happen in the future. I'm not sure that the council.
Mr. Clark, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but unfortunately you've frozen on the Teams session.
Sorry.
Oh, welcome back.
Yeah, sorry. It's a low risk to medium risk, and I've asked our client to adopt a robust set of conditions, which, by the way, we've proven in the past to support the licensing objectives. They include 7 CCTV conditions, adoption of Challenge 25, an age verification scheme, a refusals policy with incident books and refusals books, proxy signs and quiet notices, as well as ongoing training for all staff. That being said, we completely respect the councillor's wishes. My client has asked me to emphasise that he wants to be part of the local community and work with his local councillors, and therefore he has asked me to offer a new proposal for the hours requested, to open at 7 as initially requested, and to close at 11 o'clock on the weekdays, and 7 o'clock opening through the weekend, opening till midnight on Friday and Saturday. So it's just taking everything into account on balance of the probability and obviously taking into account the licensing objectives as well. If I may move on to the police representation.
Before you say
Yeah,
anything, obviously there is privileged information on that, which must not be made public. So you must not make any mention to the police report at all.
So would you like
to make it
just,
clear?
I'm just going to ask the legal advisor just to confirm the situation.
Just to make it clear that you can respond to what the police say at when we go exempt. So you will have a chance to address those issues then, but it's not to be addressed in the public forum.
Okay, well, in that case, then I will. That's the end of my presentation for now.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Thank you.
I'll move on to questions. Members, do we have any questions for the applicant? No questions. In which case, are there any questions at all? Mr. Bean, do you have any questions at all at this point?
No, I've no questions for Mr. Clark, sir, no.
Thank you. Okay, and can I just ask, Mr. Gear, did you wish to address the committee at all at this stage?
No questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right, I think we're all happy at this point, in which case I will move on then to Councillor Marion Lepoidovin. Hang on, sorry. Councillor Pedovin, before you make the representation to the committee, you do have the opportunity to ask questions if you so wish.
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Would you like to address the committee, please?
Thank you very much. I'm in a slightly unusual position, probably a very unusual position, that I'm not entirely speaking on my own behalf. I am presenting the representation that my ward colleague Millie Earl submitted. I didn't submit one of my own because I entirely agreed with what she said and indicated that to the relevant officer. The concerns, as we've heard already, are particularly around prevention of crime and disorder, public nuisance and public safety, which very much overlap with each other anyway. And the concern particularly is the opening hours. I walked along Ashley Road yesterday from Davis Road up to Appleby Road, and I identified at that stage 4 other stores selling alcohol off sales. And their advertised opening times, which I accept is not necessarily their license times, but their advertised opening and closing times, closing time is particularly what I was interested in. 2 of them close at 10 o'clock every night and 9 o'clock every night, no differentiation for weekend. The other one is more variable and the times vary from 10 till midnight. So our concern and my colleagues' concern is that by opening beyond midnight to 2 a.m. and even 11:30 in the week is providing a source of alcohol at times that it isn't currently available for sale in that same way. And that in view particularly of the history of Ashley Road, it will or could lead to crime and disorder, public nuisance and public safety. She herself, when she lived on Ashley Road, experienced antisocial behaviour and crime. She lived virtually opposite the site. I don't live on Ashley Road, so I haven't personally experienced it at that time of night. But until quite recently, daytime drinking on Ashley Road was a big problem. But due to concerted efforts by police and council through CSAS officers, that has been brought largely under control, although it does flare up occasionally. Shoplifting continues to be quite a problem. And the concern is that a shop on its own, opening much later, will encourage people to buy alcohol who are perhaps not able to cope with it properly and might encourage crime in the form of shoplifting. Sorry, I'm not referring to my notes, which I should have been. I think while the offer of reducing the opening hours is welcome, I don't think it goes far enough, and I think the time should be much more consistent with the current off licenses along there. So, in other words, shop closing probably at 10 o'clock, 10 to 10:30 in the week, maybe 11 o'clock at weekends. I think that's all I need to say at this moment.
Thank you, Councillor Lepoidovin. That was one of my questions as to whether or not the proposal of the new opening and closing times would be acceptable, but you've already given me your answer for that. Thank you. Do members have any further questions? Councillor Dower?
Not from me, thank you.
Councillor Chapman-Law?
Yeah, Marion, can you just confirm the address of one of those loft licenses that you were talking about, please?
Which one are you? I mean,
Just any of them.
I can't give you the numbers. One is the central convenience store very close to Branksome Library. That's a 10 o'clock closer. Ashley News on the corner of Weymouth Road is 9 o'clock. Snack store almost opposite Ashley News is 10 o'clock. And then there's Best One, which has the variable opening hours. But I can't give you the actual street numbers.
No, that's enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Poidevin. Are there any further questions at all from those present this morning? Mr. Bean, did you have any questions for Councillor Poidevin?
No, sir, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clark?
Do you mind if I ask, have you seen the licensing conditions that we proposed in the operating schedule? And do you think that they would? Sorry, I'm just, if you don't mind, there's a second part to the question. And if you were to see them, would you understand the significance of them and whether they in themselves would uphold the licensing objectives?
I haven't seen them, but since the main concern is the hours, any conditions would have limited effect on our concerns.
Thank you, Councillor Poidevin. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Did you have any further questions at all?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Gadir, did you have any questions for Councillor Poidevin at all?
No, thank you very much.
Okay, just to round up at this point then, Councillor Poidevin, is there anything you wish to add to your representation that you may have omitted to bring to the committee's attention?
Not that springs to mind at this moment. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this point in time, I will move back to agenda item 5 on this morning's agenda. And I will propose from the chair that in relation to the exempt information being presented, the subcommittee is asked to consider the following resolution: that under section 14.2 of the Licensing Act 2003 hearings, regulations 2005, and with regard to section 100A4 of the Local Government Act 1972, that the public be excluded from the meeting for the following item of business on the grounds that the public interest in withholding the information outweighs such interest in disclosing the information, and that it involves the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraphs 1, 2 and 7 in part 1 of schedule 12A of the Act. Members happy with that? Thank you.